regular basis. Tragically, last night, a mistake was made. I think the president is right. There was some sort of an elevation issue that we have immediately begun investigating at the DoD and Army level. Army CID is on the ground investigating. Top-tier aviation assets inside the DoD are investigating, sir, to get to the bottom of it so that it does not happen again, because it's absolutely unacceptable. But I want to echo what the Transportation Secretary and you, Mr. President, said, because it pertains to the DoD as well. We will have the best and brightest in every position possible. As you said in your inaugural, it is colorblind and merit-based. The best leaders possible, whether it's flying Black Hawks, flying airplanes, leading platoons, or in government. The era of DEI is gone at the Defense Department, and we need the best and brightest, whether it's in our air traffic control, or whether it's in our generals, or whether it's throughout government. So thank you for your leadership and courage on that, sir, and we'll stand by you. Thank you very much. JD, please. Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. I just want to reemphasize something the President said, and you've heard from the Secretary of Transportation and of Defense. There really was a whole of government response. We were all on the phone. We were all communicating yesterday, trying to get to the bottom of this immediately, but also try to communicate with the American people about what happened. Something the President said that I think bears reemphasizing, which is that when you don't have the best standards in who you're hiring, it means, on the one hand, you're not getting the best people in government, but on the other hand, it puts stresses on the people who are already there. And I think that is a core part of what President Trump is going to bring and has already brought to Washington, D.C., is we want to hire the best people because we want the best people at air traffic control, and we want to make sure we have enough people at air traffic control who are actually competent to do the job. If you go back to just some of the headlines in the past 10 years, you have many hundreds of people suing the government because they would like to be air traffic controllers, but they were turned away because of the color of their skin. That policy ends under Donald Trump's leadership because safety is the first priority of our aviation industry. Thank you, Mr. President.
On DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power, you have to go by psychological quality, and psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden, and Biden went by a standard that's the exact opposite. So we don't know, but we do know that you had two planes at the same level. You had a helicopter and a plane. That shouldn't have happened. And we'll see. We're going to look into that. We're going to see. But certainly for an air traffic controller, we want the brightest, the smartest, the sharpest. We want somebody that's psychologically superior. And that's what we're going to have. Yeah, please, go ahead.
President, you mentioned that there were several Russian nationals on the flight.
Yes.
Will the U.S. government be willing to facilitate the transfer of their remains into fact, there is no direct air travel between the two countries?
We've already been in contact with Russia, and the answer is yes, we will facilitate. Yes. Please, go ahead.
The situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo is getting worse. Even the President John Lorenzo has been mediating the conflict between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo because he wants to bring peace and stability. The situation is really bad right now. I want to hear from this president if you have any plan in the future to bring peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
Rwanda, and it is a very serious problem. I agree, but I don't think it's appropriate right now to talk about it. But it is a very serious problem.
Many I know the names of the 67 people who were killed, and you are blaming Democrats and DEI policies and air traffic control, and seemingly the member of the U.S. military who was flying that Black Hawk helicopter. Don't you think you're getting ahead of the investigation right now?
I don't think so at all. I don't think with the names of the people, you mean the names of the people that are on the plane, you think that's going to make a difference? They are a group of people that have lost their lives. If you want a list of the names, we can give you that. We'll be giving that very soon in coordination with American Airlines. We're in coordination very strongly, obviously, with the military. But I think that's not a very smart question. I'm surprised coming from you. Please. analysis, and the analysis was based on vision. You had a lot of people that saw what was happening. You had some people that knew what was happening. There was some warnings, but the warnings were given very, very late. Those warnings were given very late. It was almost as they were given. A few seconds later, there was a crash. It should have been brought up earlier. But the people in the helicopter should have seen where they were going. I can't imagine people with 20/20 vision not seeing what's happening up there. Again, they shouldn't have been at the same height. You're going in reverse directions or sideways directions. Obviously, you want to be at different heights. I see it all the time when I'm flying. You have planes going in the opposite. They're always lower, or higher, so if somehow there's a screw up, there's not going to be a tragedy. It'll be close, but there's never going to be a tragedy if you're at a different elevation. For whatever reason, they were at the same elevation. And also, from the American Airlines strategies along the track that every plane is along. You say, what was the helicopter doing in that track? Very sad. But visually, somebody should have been able to see and taken that helicopter out of plane, and they should have been at a different height.
Like so, you mentioned the Russians that were on board that plane. What other nationalities were on board that passenger?
There were a couple of others. We're going to be announcing it in about an hour. We have some very specific information. We're calling the countries. We've spoken to most of them, but there were some other countries represented. I have not, no. Not about this.
You've already issued an executive order. You say, well, restore aviation safety.
Right.
This crash happened after that. Was the executive order successful, and what more needs to change, do people say?
Well, we issued it 3 days ago, and we're in the process of making those changes. This is something that should have been done a long time ago. Actually, my original order should have never been changed, and I think maybe you wouldn't have had this problem. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you. We see like everyday life that very often those diversity hires cause sometimes issues, as you just mentioned. So, what plan do you have? Are we going to see some fire? Are you going to fire some of those diversity hires in the federal government? What plan do you
I
have?
would say the answer is yes. If we find that people aren't mentally competent, you see the language. The language is put out by them. And if you see that, I'm not going to bore you by reading it again, but these are not people that should be doing this particular job. They'd be very good for certain jobs, but not people that should be doing this particular job.
Today, blame the diversity element, but then told us that you weren't sure that the controllers made any mistake. You then said perhaps the helicopter pilots were the ones who made the mistake.
It's all under investigation.
I understand that. That's why I'm trying to figure out how you can come to the conclusion right now that diversity has something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. We want brilliant people doing this. This is a major chess game at the highest level. When you have 60 planes coming in during a short period of time, and they're all coming in different directions, and you're dealing with very high-level computer work and very complex computers. And one of the other things I will tell you is that the systems that were built, I was going to rebuild the entire system, and then we had an election that didn't turn out the way it should have. But they didn't build the systems properly. They spent a lot of money renovating a system, spending much more money than they would have spent if they bought a new system for air traffic controllers, meaning the computerized systems. There are certain companies that do a very good job. They didn't use those companies. They used companies that should not have been doing it. No, I think it's very important to understand that for some jobs, and not only this, but air traffic controllers, they have to be at the highest level of genius. Okay.
I want to ask you about the ice skaters in a moment because the U.S. Ice Skating Committee was affected. But first, if I can, the cited FAA tax read is real, but the implication that this policy is newer than it stems from efforts that began under President Biden or the Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is demonstrably false. It's been on the FAA's website. No, it's on the website, the FAA's website. It was there in 2013. It was there the entirety.
What I read.
It was there for the entirety of your administration too. So my question is, why didn't you change the policy during your first
I did
administration?
change it. I changed the Obama policy, and we had a very good policy. And then Biden came in, and he changed it. And then when I came in 3 days ago, I signed a new order, bringing it to the highest level of intelligence. Okay. Please. That's fine.
Welcome back. Sorry. You mentioned that a vision was not probably the problem that was at issue in this crash. There's been some reports that one of the pilots in the helicopter may be using night vision equipment. Was there any
We don't know. We're going to know that pretty soon. It may change your viewpoint if you do have the night vision, so it's very possible that could have happened. That would be maybe a reason why you wouldn't actually see as well as on a clear night. You can see sometimes better without it.
Is it helpful to have your Secretary of Transportation confirmed, and does this intensify your interest in getting other nominees confirmed quickly? Is it helpful to have your Secretary of Transportation confirmed, and does this intensify your interest in getting other nominees confirmed quickly as well?
For sure, we want fast confirmations, and the Democrats, as you know, are doing everything they can to delay them. They've taken too long. We're struggling to get very good people that everybody knows are going to be confirmed, but we're struggling to get them out faster. We want them out faster. It's a good question, actually. We've been pushing Sean. Everyone knows Sean for a long time. He got many, many Democrat votes, but they want to take as long as they can. They ask questions like some of the questions that Peter would ask that were totally irrelevant and not very good questions, but they want to just keep it going. They want to keep it going as long as possible. I was very honored, actually, that you got so many Democrat votes. That was really good.
Could I try to meet with the families and just question, is your impression that the training that was done to that side, the training that the health was involved in, is it anything else about?
You don't know. These are the things that will come up with the investigation. You don't know. But the helicopter obviously was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and a tragedy occurred. Please. Go ahead.
You've been critical of the current regulations and you've called for big reforms at FAA. I'm curious, sir,
Well, I made the reforms.
what is your
3
message?
days ago, I made
Yes,
that.
sir. What is your message then to the American public in the weeks and months ahead? Should they feel hesitant to fly? And if you could clarify perhaps something that the Secretary said when he said that this helicopter went on a continuity of government mission?
I don't know what that refers to, but they were practicing. They do that. They call it practicing, and and that's something that should be done. It's only continuity in the sense that we want to have very good people, and that has to be in continuity, and that's what they refer to. But it was basically practice, and it was a practice that worked out very, very badly.
Should people be hesitant to fly right
No, not at all. I'm not hesitant to fly. This is something that it's been many years. Something like this has happened, and the collision is just something that we don't expect ever to happen again. We are going to have the highest level people we've already hired. Some of the people that you've already hired for that position long before we knew about this. I mean, long before. From the time I came in, we started going out and getting the best people because I said it's not appropriate what they're doing. I think it's a tremendous mistake. They like to do things and they like to take them too far, and this is sometimes what ends up happening. Now, with that, I'm not blaming the controller. I'm saying there are things that you could question, like the height of the helicopter, the height of the plane being at the same level, going in opposite directions. It's not a positive. But no, we're already hiring people. No, flying is very safe. We have the safest flying anywhere in the world, and we'll keep it that way. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
An hour of anguish for our nation. No survivors. 64 passengers and crew on board that American Airlines flight. 3 U.S. soldiers flying that Black Hawk helicopter we all want to know what happened in the dead of night here in Washington, D.C. Let's start with our transportation correspondent, Gio Benitez. He is there on the scene of the crash where recovery efforts are in full force right now to find those remaining victims. Gio, what do we know?
So, Kira, let's take this step by step with what we know exactly. It started with this American Airlines originally scheduled to land on runway 1. That is the biggest runway here. It is also the busiest runway in the country. It is just nonstop. At the last moment, air traffic control changed that to runway 33. Now, we don't know exactly why, but we do know that that was pretty commonplace. This happens all the time here at this airport. The American Airlines CEO says that everything was looking normal on approach as they were landing. Then it gets to the helicopter, and this is the Black Hawk. And that Black Hawk was at 350 feet. And for some reason, it seemed to be heading toward the plane. And again, we don't know why that happened either. But we do know that air traffic control actually said to the Black Hawk pilot, "Do you see the plane?" And they confirmed that they saw the plane, or at least a plane. And we just don't know if there was any confusion there in the Black Hawk at the time. We know that there were three different soldiers there in the Black Hawk conducting this training mission. That doesn't mean they were inexperienced. It just means that this is sort of like a routine training that the military is always doing. And at that point, that's what we don't know. What happened? Did they get confused? And so there are many questions about that particular moment with the Black Hawk.
Gio, stay with us. Also with us, pilot and aviation consultant Steve Ganyard. Steve, I understand from the tower audio that the Army pilot did confirm twice that he had eyes on the American Airlines plane. Could flying on night vision goggles in an urban environment with lots of light sources, ambient light, have caused him to misidentify the airline traffic?
So the short answer is yes. But it would have happened perhaps whether they were on night vision goggles or not. Being at that altitude and being asked to pick out something that is either moving or flashing or looks very much like the background as they were coming in, they would have been looking at the lights of, say, Alexandria on the other side of the river. And so obviously they thought they had the airplane. They thought they had their interval, the regional jet in sight, but they clearly did not. I think one of the things that we need to come back to here is, as Gio pointed out, this crew said, "We see the airplane and we assume responsibility for visual separation," meaning that the crew of that helicopter, believing that they had the airplane in sight, said, "We will make sure that we stay behind him and we will not get in his way." So that boils down to who's at fault here. And if that is the case, then we need to figure out why. Gio brought up some things that the president also brought up. Were they at the right height? They were supposed to be staying at 200 feet or below as they transit on the route along the river. So that will be a question. The president brought up that perhaps the direction from the controller was late. That may be something else that they'll want to look at, but the fact that the Black Hawk pilots assumed responsibility puts it back, the onus back on them to make sure that no midair occurred. So now we have to figure out what happened, but it's quite easy for any pilot who's ever flown at night